After watching the episode crossover, I had formulated a prediction about Finn's love life based around a reference that I thought must be foreshadowing. And before I could release a video about this prediction, the episode Flute Spell aired, and the events within that episode matched the general prediction I had in mind, and validated that crossover did indeed contain foreshadowing. In crossover, Finn is given a device called the Maid, which he used to get rid of the Lich. The Maid is a tool that might be created by Prismo himself, Prismo's boss, or perhaps even some other deity in this interdimensional bureaucracy, but whatever its specific origins happen to be are not relevant for this particular video. The Maid itself is not the foreshadowing device, but rather it is the odd chant needed for its activation.
A man needs a maid! A man needs a maid! A man needs a maid!
Just like with Mama Said, the phrase is a reference to a classic song, in this case, Neil Young's A Man Needs a Maid. But unlike the case with Mama Said, which was a random yet amusing manner for Bananagard to express that he had a massive boner, and I am referring to the traditional definition of boner here, the reference to the song A Man Needs a Maid packs much more depth and nuance. Finn is the one to utter the chant in its entirety, and Finn serves as a sort of stand-in for the character in this song. I believe the song's general meaning applies to Finn. The reference is actually a proxy to describe Finn's emotional state as well as foreshadow events to come. So let's break down the song itself, because it is not simply about a guy who wants a maid. And I am not at all implying Finn will get a maid. No, that's not it at all. That is a far too literal and benighted interpretation of both the song's meaning and especially its correspondence to Finn's love life. I have to stress that. The word maid is a complete red herring in this case. It's the connotation behind the song that's of importance. A Man Needs a Maid is a song from the perspective of a man experiencing life-changing events and struggles and is starting to even doubt those around him. Finn is moving beyond puberty and has recently faced many life-changing struggles which he has only recently started to cope well with. The issue of trust can easily hark back to events with Martin, but it even applies to Prismo in crossover. Prismo expects Finn to get rid of, essentially kill, his alternate self. And before Finn can even question the task, Prismo sends Finn and Jake off. Finn decides to perform an alternate solution, and I believe this event gives Finn further experience that even people he considers good and would call his friends, such as Prismo, don't always have his best interest nor the most noble intentions at heart. A Man Needs a Maid is about a man unsure whether he wants to make a commitment to a new romantic relationship, and as William Rollman succinctly describes, it's about a man's struggle between his desire for companionship and his fear of being hurt. Finn has recently undergone some catastrophic attempts at romantic relationships. One that never initiated with Princess Bubblegum, and one with Flame Princess where Finn blew it.
You blew it, man!
Finn not only hurt himself with his immaturity and hormonally fueled inconsiderate actions, but he also betrayed the trust of Flame Princess and hurt her. Though on the bright side, FP's loss of trust in Finn did lead her to develop into an amazing character and a competent ruler of her kingdom, but she was still deeply hurt, even if the end result was probably better for her than if she had stayed with Finn. Finn is self-destructive when it comes to romance, from scenes of him wallowing in self-pity over PB, to scenes of him getting hung up over nothing with FP, to him becoming a narcissistic man-baby and losing FP. And a season later, Finn kisses every and any female he is able to in a failed and feeble attempt to reignite a spark within him, only to feel all the worse from these events, and likely hurt the feelings of those he never had any serious intentions of pursuing a romantic entanglement with. Finn has not matured enough to competently handle romance, and whether he is in a committed relationship or out of one, the mere concept of romantic companionship has eaten away at him in the past. A portion of A Man Needs a Maid's lyrics are, to give a love, you gotta live a love. To live a love, you gotta be a part of. These lyrics directly apply to Finn's feelings at the end of Crossover when he looks at his alternate reality self. Finn came to terms with his deadbeat dad, but that doesn't mean he managed to feel that longing sensation to be a part of a family unit like the one his alternate self has. Sure, Finn has a family with Jake, BMO, and Nepter, but he still longs for something beyond that. Finn carries heavy emotional baggage, just like the man in Neil Young's song, and until he can find a way to lighten that strain, it will carry over and negatively affect his romantic relationships. These characteristics I've described make Finn analogous to the man in Neil Young's song. Finn, by all means, should be afraid of being hurt, or more specifically, hurting himself yet again. Finn should be second-guessing any future attempts at recklessly diving into romantic relationships. My prediction when I first saw Crossover was that Finn would take a more reserved approach and keep a level of distance with the next person he has developing feelings for, perhaps in a professional relationship that necessitates close proximity but keeps a level of separation, like a maid would have with an employer. The chant "A Man Needs a Maid" was more than a simple reference to a song. It paints a vivid picture of Finn's past and upcoming love life. One could say I'm looking far too deep into things that aren't there, but without that subtext, it's an awkward reference to shoehorn into the episode. Let's say a female had to use the maid rather than a male. I think a heroine having to utter that line in the exact same context would raise quite a few eyebrows. It would feel rather odd, and that's because it does come off as slightly sexist purely on the surface. Which, incidentally, is the exact same case for Neil Young's song. There is an inescapable implication of sexism when looking at the song purely from the surface layer without unearthing the nuance and subtext that the song holds. However, when taking the big picture into account, everything starts to fall into place and make a lot more sense. So I think that this 70s song reference only works when you factor in that it's a proxy to describe Finn and his upcoming future. And as I said at the start of this video, this foreshadowing was already fulfilled in Flute Spell. Finn forms a relationship with a woman that he has a layer of separation from. A reversal of the maid relationship described in the song, Huntress Wizard is the one that actually needs help with a task, rather than Finn needing the help. And Finn obliges, and as a result spends a lot of time in the vicinity of Huntress Wizard, just like a maid spends extended time in the vicinity of the person who hired her. The two have an informal, occupational relationship, but feelings of companionship are gradually replaced with feelings of mild desire, which is analogous to the implications in Neil Young's song. Heck, the spirit of the forest even calls Finn and HW's melody
the sweet song of longing.
And if anything, A Man Needs a Maid is a song of longing. Seriously, just listen to the thing. We can even go further and tie in the following lyrics. I was watching a movie with a friend. I fell in love with the actress. She was playing a part that I could understand. Finn was watching HW desperately try to seek out her goal while he continued to play his flute for her, eventually with Jake by his side, who also watched all these events unfold. Cue the lyric, I was watching a movie with a friend. And in the end, Finn did, very briefly, become involved with Huntress Wizard when he confessed to her, despite his expectation to stay a degree removed until, to quote Finn, his flute broke. This relates to that autobiographical portion of Neil Young's song. An actress is a person who's gonna be quite a few degrees removed from you, except that Neil Young actually did date an actress around the time that he composed this song. So we're seeing some major overlap with the lyrics and the events of the episode Flute Spell here. In regards to the line playing a part that I could understand, Huntress Wizard's goal was to reconnect with something that had a prominent impact on her life and is now gone. That speaks to Finn on a personal level, and mirrors some of Finn's own past struggles. Additionally, Huntress Wizard's parting lines about exceptional beasts ring true for Finn. Finn understands her perspective. While the scenarios in A Man Needs a Maid and Adventure Time take very different shapes, the overlaps in the underlying meaning are aplenty.
Take it easy, Huntress Wizard.
When will I see you again?
I hope that I've made a strong case for what I consider to be a rather unique and interesting manner of foreshadowing. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my reviews of Crossover and Flute Spell if you haven't already. And as always, thank you so much for watching, see you next time.